Morning, everybody. It is Wednesday, June 23rd, 2021. Just doing our pre-market analysis here. Interesting day yesterday. So let's take a look at this. Let's just zoom out a little bit. Let's go to a 30-minute. And yesterday, you know, we had kind of opened flat, right? So at the end of the day on Monday, price had really rocketed up Monday and it sort of stalled up here in this area that we talked about. And it kind of opened flat. And I mentioned that if we get above these highs and above these highs here, above that kind of range, that we should sort of expect a good bullish run for the day. And that's what happened. So markets opened really quiet, really quiet open. I mean, the first half hour, we just sort of gyrated around and we attempted to move outside of what was the sort of value for the day. And what I mean by that is this. We had this, we were sort of just rotating around in here. And we opened like right at this point of control for this consolidation. And we kind of just started out the first, half hour of the day just sort of bouncing up and down. And we attempted to come down out of it to the downside and really failed. There just was no acceptance of prices lower. There was nobody else willing to sell down there. And so the buyers stepped in and pushed it up. And that already, once you saw these tails come in on a 30-minute chart like this, in the opening of the day, when we're opening up so consolidated, and this attempt to push lower, and you see these tails, and then a nice bullish candle, that already is your first cue that we're going to have a bullish day. And sure enough, we had a nice run up, really strong bullish run, right up into this other point of control that I pointed out yesterday morning, and we stalled for really the bulk of the afternoon. We stalled right there, okay? Now, we had these other two levels that we talked about. We talked about this level here at 42.3550 and 42.4750, and I want to show you what happened here. And my people who are members of my group have heard me talk about this before. So when we came up and, we stalled in this zone, and then we blasted through this level at 42.3550, and I'm going to go down to a smaller time frame so you can see this, okay? This is right where it was. We came up, we kind of stalled a little bit, right? But really we like blasted right through that level. And I often say that when that happens, right, if you were expecting a short right here, a reaction to the downside, which we did, we did kind of get, it was pretty darn close, but not super close, that often you can just flip your bias and take it from the upside. And you can see what happened here. We came up, kind of stalled a little bit, and then towards the end of the day, we came back down, and where do we stop? Right there. And then you can see another little test of it right there to the tick. Okay, so this is why I point out these levels, these like really frequently turn out to be really valuable levels. I can't stress that enough. And then we pushed up, and look where we pushed up to in the overnight. First stop right there, right at our level. I mean, this candle's high was 47.25. Right, it's the high. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, 47.25, and our level is at 47.75. Yeah, no, 47.75. Sorry, is the high of the candle, and our level was 47.75. So to the tick, that hit our level, right, beautifully. A little bit of a reaction. If you didn't get filled there, came back up. This one just went past it by 2 ticks, by 50 cents, right? And then this nice reaction back down. Look where it's stalled again right here. Look at these wicks right there at our level. Now, at this point, this level is getting rather used. So, when these levels get used a few times, they don't have their strength anymore. So not a major surprise that we broke through a little bit here. And now this is just sort of where we are now. But this is how these levels played out. So you can see this major, I told you guys yesterday morning that if you were long, consider getting out as we approach these levels, because there's going to be resistance, and that's really what happened. Now, yes, this did go up, but if you're an intraday trader, do you really want to be stuck in here from 11 a.m. until we didn't break out until 2:30? So, roughly a 3-hour stretch. And during that 3-hour stretch, you're sitting there with sweaty palms. You don't know if price is going to go up or down from there. So personally, I would much rather just get the heck out of that trade. I'd rather just close out, take my profits, and run. And so that worked out really well. And then, like I said, this level we got blown through. So if you tried to short this, you would have taken a stop, but you could have reversed your bias and recouped your losses by just simply taking a long off the same level. And you could have taken that right up to the next level I gave you as a profit target, and you would have hit that like literally to the tick. We overshot it by 2 ticks, which is really just enough to get a fill on your limit order, and that would have worked out beautifully. So I hope some of you guys took advantage of those levels from yesterday. Now, I haven't even looked at analysis for today, so this is all fresh in my mind. I'm going to remove this, and you guys are going to go through this basically live with me. So we still have some levels to the downside that if we do come down again, we would expect some stalling. These 2 points of control are still going to be major for us. So let's do top down. I'm just going to go out to 4 hour to start, and actually even just 2 hour, because I think we have a decent understanding, if you've been following my analysis, of the big picture. Nothing's really changed from the long-term big picture auction standpoint. But let's just take a look at what's been going on with this sideways action that we've been in since end of May. What we see again is this lower high volume area is still our point of control, but you see how the volumes are building in between. I talked about this yesterday, that this almost is starting to look more like an even bell curve instead of what we had previously was very much what we refer to as a double distribution. So it was like a capital B, right? So this is starting to even out as we're building in volumes on the inside here. And really, this is kind of what we've been dealing with. And so these 2 levels right here, this 42.2825 and this 41.99, which is really like 4,200, you can call it, are kind of like our magnets right now. And then we're starting to build volume in the middle. But this lower area is still sort of the highest volume, and that really has not changed, right? There was a little blip of time where this was higher up here, but ultimately since end of May, value in the market has not changed. We've had these probes up and probes down, but value has not changed dramatically. This, to me, is very bullish. This attempt to move down, very few people willing to continue selling down here. And the auction had to move up higher to find willing sellers. Now, I don't want to say it's very bullish, because this could still just be larger institutions, waiting for prices to come back up so they can continue to distribute their positions at a good price. And that's often what happens during distribution periods. And there is a chance that, all this stuff we've been in since mid-April is a massive institutional distribution. That's possible. We don't know for sure. I don't pretend to know exactly what institutions are doing. We just know, we can say what is possible and what might be probable, right? Because that's what trading's all about. It's about probabilities. So we don't want to listen to fairy tales, right? So all we do know is that there's been a lot of trading in these areas, and there's been probes down that fail and probes up to new highs that sort of fail. Now, in the meantime, the NASDAQ is making fresh highs, so we have to take that into consideration as well. The NASDAQ looks very strong, and tech has been performing very strong. So, I don't necessarily think we're going to be rolling over into a bear market tomorrow, but until we start to see a little bit more confirmation of the markets as a whole gaining strength and finding acceptance up here, then I just suggest that we proceed with caution, because otherwise we're just in this position where not a whole lot has changed. Okay, get my emails out of here. So where are we at, like swing wise? This kind of had this swing down and then attempted swing back up, and then kind of came down lower, and then sort of a swing up here. So this was like a really little swing on the 2 hour chart, and that sort of puts us where we're at right now, where we pushed definitely nicely above this high. And really I'd put this here. So we pushed nicely above this high. We might come down and retest this area a little bit more. This may be the retest already. We're kind of bouncing off pretty close to that point of control. This is the last major resistance level that we need to get through. But even if we get through that, again, every time we've poked through a resistance level and made a new high, we've only just turned around and sold off again. So even if we poke through that, just what we want to see is, can we poke through that, and can volumes start to build up above these levels? We really need to show that buyers are still willing to buy up here and sellers are willing to sell. I mean, usually the selling is not much of an issue, but if you start getting prices getting up high and nobody's willing to buy anymore, especially the institutions, which most of what you're seeing here is institutional, then that's a warning. And you can see how this just gets real thin up here, really thin up here, which is not expected. It's not out of the ordinary for a market that's at all-time highs, because above that level, there's just simply no other price action. Apologize if I'm getting quiet. I'm just closing my window because there's some noise outside. Okay, so that's kind of what we're looking at right now. We've got this sort of swing, and we got to stay above here. We got to keep building volumes up here. That's what we want to see. Keep building more and more volume up here, and then push through these levels. The more volume we build up here, the harder it's going to be for us to fall back down. If there's not a lot of volume, and when I say up here, I mean like really between this resistance and this support, it actually would be a good thing for the market. Just like we chopped around a little bit here, if we chopped around a little bit here and then moved up, would be good, because then we have a nice bigger support level in that area, and that would give us more confidence to go in more bullish. And you can see again on our volume, it's building, right? See this little peak building here. So it's kind of like, what we have to ask ourselves is volume going to do this and just fill out the middle of this bell curve like this? And that would just be more indicative that we're still just balancing and we're still sort of indecisive in a sense. Buyers and sellers are both just happy to do business right in this area. Or the other option, which would be more bullish, would be if the profile kind of did this, but the volumes kept building up here, right? So we'd want to see is like these volumes in here build out more, and if we see that, that's going to be a little bit stronger than if out of that we push up. Okay, if out of that we push up. So this alone isn't bullish, because this could just be the liquidation of longs. But if we build volume up here above these resistances, right? We've got this purple channel, we've got this white channel, we've got that point of control. Like, there's so much confluence in this area. And if we build volume up here and then we get a breakout to the upside, it's much more likely to hold. Much more likely to hold. So that's what I would like to see. I'd like to see these points of control move. And you can see it's already moved kind of up here now. Just the pre-market trading. Our point of control is up here now. Just a moment ago, it was still down here. So, so that's kind of where we're at, as sort of like a day trading big picture, but really like an intermediate picture. Okay. Lots of confluence right here where this teal dotted line is, right around 42.28. Lots of confluence of support. We've got a lot of support levels there. Okay. So we want that to hold and build more volume. Maybe we get a breakout today. I don't know. Maybe we just need to digest a little bit like we did here and kind of see what happens. So let's look at levels for today. So we already have a few. We already know that if price does fall down, we can expect a little bit of support here, which, I don't know how much of a bounce you're going to get there. It's not like a huge level of support. But at least, again, if you're short, it might be a good place to just cash in profits. Or for looking, if you're a scalper, often you can get some nice little reactions for some good scalps here. And then same thing down here, just a little tiny support level down here. So we have 41.73 and then 41.48.25. This one's just a smaller support level. I don't know how strongly that would hold. Okay. So we also want to be aware of anything that might be in here. Right. So we got some support around here. Okay, around 4209.50. Definitely want to be aware of that. Little consolidation there. A lot of volume came in. And what's interesting is most of that volume is actually from this building of positions. Right, so it's actually a lot of that's from this. You have to include this candle here. So that's indicative of accumulation. And actually, I don't know if I'm going to consider this level anymore, because you can see price came up. We already tested it. So that level has already been played. So I'm going to just take that out, actually. That level's already been played. So let's look at this next move up and just see what we have to deal with. Anything in here. So again, not a big surprise. Lots of volumes right around that big point of control. So nothing new to add there. So this is our major support, this 42.28 level. That's our big level that we want to hold, okay? That's what we're watching. That's what we want to hold. There's really nothing else super significant. You've got some volume in here, okay? So you might get a little bit of support in here. 42.17.50. Like if we start to gyrate around this point of control, you might look for this to be the lower end of that range, perhaps 42.17.50 as a level to keep an eye on, because sometimes with the point of control, we don't, when it's especially like a major point of control of a longer term auction, because this is a longer time frame auction. And a lot of times what will happen, we'll get little reactions there, but then what often happens is as price is digesting, it's gyrating around that point of control. So what will be interesting to see is if some of these levels hold like this. You know, we've got this level down here, 42.17.75 or 42.17.50, and then this one up here, 42.47.75. And we want to see, are those levels going to hold? That's sort of the question of the day. And if we break this to the downside, we might come back down to this point of control, expect a little bit of stalling there, maybe some gyration. And maybe at that point, if that is going to take place, and whether it's today or tomorrow, you know, if we come all the way down, that's where we might expect something here. And then who knows, maybe we just consolidate around there again. I'm not sure yet. We'll have to see how price action unfolds. But that's kind of what I've got right now for those levels. Let's zero in a little bit closer and just see if there's anything else. Nothing really else that looks interesting to me here right now that we haven't already spoken about. So I'm keeping my eye on those levels, kind of from the top down, 42, 47, 75. Now this level's already been tested really twice. So a third test here could very well push through. So I personally would not be like blindly trading off this level. I'd look for some sort of price action. Are we going to reject off of it, or are we going to break out above it? But it's just a key area that I have my eye on. Same thing here with this point of control. There's been so much action around this. It might give us a little bit of stalling. We might gyrate around it. That's the 42.28.25. This level is probably a little bit more likely to be something I would trade off of, because it hasn't really been thoroughly tested. I mean, you might say, as we're zooming in on this smaller time frame, we might say that, you know, if the level was formed here, no, not really. I was going to say that maybe this was the test of it, but really that level didn't become significant until we get zeroed in. And actually, this is interesting, as we go to the smaller time frame, and if we get more accuracy here on the smaller time frame, I'm going to move this. Let's call that level 42.13.50. And we've just sort of gyrated around that level. We can see that level's been pretty key through this consolidation, and then even through here, still kind of the same, still pretty close to the same. So yeah, really anywhere 42.15, and 15's been a level we've talked about a lot over the past few weeks, even back here. See all the price action around this level, and this is where we're starting to see in this longer term auction, we were starting to see the middle fill out. So I actually wouldn't be surprised to see more volumes build here as well. You know, just been a lot of consolidation around there. So that's this area around 15, 14. You know, I don't want to be too precise there, because it just really depends on where you're drawing your profile in. Um, but that's definitely a level I would keep my eye on, right around there, 42.1350. Okay, that's the only sort of really big one that I'm kind of watching right now. Beyond that, you know, um, I don't really see much else interesting right now. Don't see much else interesting. Let's just really quickly, on our 5-minute chart, let's take a look at session volume. And what we see is yesterday's, get my zooming working better here. You know, whenever you turn the session volume on, it always messes with your scaling for some reason. Gotta figure out how to fix that. Okay. So yesterday's value area was huge, like really big, and we're opening up on the upper end of that value area. But you know, we've come down into it too. So you know, slightly imbalanced from yesterday. Yesterday was definitely, you know, a nice bullish trend day. So far, overnight price action here has been very balanced. Notice the even distribution, right? As opposed to here, where we had this long distribution with areas of acceptance. Okay. So yeah, so far things are looking balanced. I think we're going to have to just see how the day unfolds. Let's just take a look at yesterday's open session and see what the value area is. Pretty similar. So yeah, that's just kind of what I'm going to keep my eye on. I personally, just to be upfront, I will not be trading today. I have a bunch of things to get done this morning, and then I'm heading out of town this evening for a couple days. So I will not be trading today. And I also may not have analysis tomorrow and Friday. I'll be up at my in-laws' house. My wife has to do some work up in that area, and I'll be hanging out with our kids. And yeah, just may not have my analysis done for those days. But you know, keep your eye on these levels at least today, and we'll see how things unfold. Good luck, everybody, and have fun.